Thank you very much, Kimiko and everyone for inviting me and giving me the possibility also to be here and share a couple of views. It's been very interesting already what we heard before, I believe, and it fits very well also to my presentation. So I run Advantage Austria Vietnam, which is Austria's official trade promotion and internationalization agency. We work for bilateral trade and innovation cooperation, also investment cooperation with Vietnam. And I'm based in Ho Chi Minh City, which is why I can't be in Hanoi right now. So let me start giving you some industrial perspective on the deep tech and the frontier technology topic. Austria is, as you may know or not, a leader in high technologies. We are a machinery producing country, very well advanced in engineering skills, and have been doing so for a long time. So Industry 4.0 means quite a lot to us as an industrial country, which is why I think Kimiko has also asked me to speak here. So I'll give you just a short overview on how we perceive Industry 4.0 from our European perspective, but also I try to give a few comments on Vietnam in here. So basically I'm going to speak about where we are when we talk about Industry 4.0, but also what is Industry 4.0, and then I give you some case study as an example. So what is the status quo when we talk about Industry 4.0? If you see this graph on the left side here, I've taken it from the World Economic Forum Readiness of the Future Production report. It's a report which analyzes how well prepared are countries today to shape the environment in the industrial environment and benefit from the ever-changing nature of production in the future. And readiness means the ability to capitalize on the future production opportunities, to mitigate risks and challenges, and to be resilient and agile also to future shocks like the coronavirus pandemic, for example. Now, this report has analyzed numerous countries throughout the world and categorized them into so-called leading countries and other types of countries, as you can see in the graph, and I try to point out where Austria is and where Vietnam is, and it's quite interesting, I think, because Austria is among the leading countries in Industry 4.0, so we believe we are quite well prepared also to embark upon Industry 4.0 and everything that's connected to it. And Vietnam is a nascent country, together with many other countries, and it's also quite interesting because while the industrial base may be weaker than in other countries here, there are still many drivers for production which make Vietnam a prospective and an interesting country when we look at Industry 4.0. So drivers of production that are important here, for example, includes the institutional framework and the willingness of the country actually to achieve and be industrialized and attract investment, for example, but also the manpower in this country and a few other factors. Vietnam does really excel also in global trade and investment environment with all the FTAs that it has been negotiating and also entering so far. So this is quite interesting, I believe, and as you can see, there's also a limited number only of so-called leading countries. It also means that while not every country can be a leading country, probably, and it's not necessary to be a leading country, there's a lot of room for improvement for every country. And the so-called nascent countries like Vietnam, they have to determine whether to pursue advanced manufacturing or traditional manufacturing, where they're really good at, or any combination of the two and to what extent. So this will be really important also for policymakers. Now, why do we do Industry 4.0? Why do we pursue it as a goal at all from a macro perspective? Well, the reason is that we see that those countries which invest in digitalization in the industry will be more competitive and have competitive advantages, but also more productive on the other side. So this is clearly reflecting also what David said previously. at the end of the story, at the end of the day, it's about remaining competitive and making money, of course. So that's why Industry 4.0 is pursued. But what is Industry 4.0? And you can look at it from many different perspectives. One perspective that's interesting also for Vietnam is that Industry 4.0 is about the digitization of the complete supply chain. The supply chain and global value chains is a big topic here in Vietnam, as you know, and Industry 4.0 helps making the supply chains more efficient and helps economies grow in that regard. Now, it's also very important, I believe, to distinguish between smart products and smart production. We've seen a couple of smart products just before in the presentation, and there are numerous companies that can make smart products. But the question you have to ask when you talk about Industry 4.0 is, do they have smart production? Because many companies do have good products, but outdated production lines, and you have to keep both in mind when you talk about Industry 4.0. I give you an example. There is, for example, Magna, an Austrian automotive supplier, one of the biggest suppliers in that sector, and engineering companies in the automotive sector worldwide. They also help VinFast build their cars. And back in 2008, Magna actually designed and produced the first car which was completely created virtually, and even the crash tests were done virtually, so there was no need for any physical prototype for this car. And this was quite good development and also a new business model. So Industry 4.0 is really about connecting real and virtual world, but it's also about developing new business models around products and around product-related services. I come to this back later. And then there's other aspects as well with Industry 4.0. It's of course also about workpieces and machines which operate autonomously and be more flexible, more efficient, and also more resource efficient. That's what it's all about. But also customer needs can be, in some cases, taken up real time. This is really interesting if you think that a product doesn't need to be standardized when it's in the production line, but during the production process can be adapted. The process can be adapted to fit individual needs of a customer to that certain product. For example, I give you a very simple example. When you think about golf bats, when you play golf, you may want to have your individualized golf bat, and you could easily do this and individualize this in the production process, making real time in the process. And then another aspect of it is, of course, maintenance. Maintenance is regulated autonomously in an Industry 4.0 environment, and predictive maintenance is one of the hottest topics currently in the industrial sector in Europe, for example. Now, what do we need for the virtualization of the industry? You need sensor systems, you need software engineering, you need physical systems that are existing already, and all this together combined is what we call the cyber-physical systems. But that's not the end of the story, because you also need work systems, which are assisting systems for the workers to enable them for the new production process, and you need, or you can have, new business models out of that, which is a major motivation actually of doing Industry 4.0. And then finally there is also domain know-how. So many workers, for example, have broad know-how, but it's difficult to structure that know-how and to get it to the point. And this is actually a real key challenge also when pursuing Industry 4.0. And there are several layers of motivation why we pursue this. One, of course, is to reduce costs and improve the efficiency of the factory. And this is also where workers will be laid off. But it's not the end of the story, because there's other motivations as well. Companies which pursue that goal can come up with new product, and they can come up with new data-driven business models as well, which helps them access or increase their market and the market shares. And in these areas, you can actually employ new people, new qualified people. Now, when we talk about Industry 4.0, you should also know about the limits of that. That is very clearly visible, for example, in Austria and in all of Europe. Many companies believe, for example, that operational technology in many cases does not have any security whatsoever. They say IT is a black hole, which can be true sometimes. Some also fear that high investment costs and an unclear return of investment will be involved. But this is clearly not true, because in reality the return of investment, as David has pointed out already also in other deep tech sectors, can be very quick, in a matter of weeks in fact, or in a matter of months. So I give you an example. When you think about adding a certain sensor to a machine, to a robot, to make it more efficient, you will see the results very, very quickly. And you can multiply this by adding similar sensors to other robots or to other production lines that you have. So we have seen in certain studies in Europe that the return on investment is actually very, very quick, and this is what it's all about. Of course, you have to have qualified personnel. Sometimes the staff is afraid of changes. Can be a limitation sometimes. And many companies also fear that they put their money into maybe the wrong technology, because there are many unclear development paths when it comes to technology. So it's not clear, for example, which technology will prevail in the medium or long run over the other. When we talk, for example, about additive manufacturing, it's at the moment not so clear which of those technologies will be the one that really will dominate in the future. So you have to make an investment first, and there's of course certain risks involved in making these investments also. There's also still unclear standards, and some companies are hesitant to use the cloud. You have to overcome these barriers which mainly exist for small and medium-sized companies, but you have to overcome this in order to be successful and really pursue a relevant strategy in Industry 4.0. So this is basically what I want to say about Industry 4.0, and then finally I'd like to present a little bit about some Austrian strengths in that sector and add a few keywords there. I talked already about additive manufacturing, but of course Industry 4.0 is also about artificial intelligence, machine learning, using big data and analyze that. It's about automation and robotics, which has been there also before we talked about Industry 4.0 already. There is the creation of digital twins and simulations to the processes, connectivity improvements by different technologies. Sensor technology will be applied, image recognition, AR, VR, plant engineering, and some security technologies. So basically everything that you can think about when you talk about deep technologies or new technologies will be integrated also in industrial processes, in production processes, and this is basically what it is about. Industry 4.0. Austria is very strong in that. All of these sectors, we're doing a lot of research. Our companies have very high engineering skills. We're very happy to share that also with Vietnam, and we believe there are great opportunities also for the Vietnamese companies to upgrade and to play a certain role in Industry 4.0 in the medium and long term in the future. So this is basically it. And finally, I'm not sure if it works out, but I've asked the organizer then to show a video on one case study of an Austrian company. The company is called Litos. And this company is a developer of high-performance ceramics. So they found out that ceramics, if made properly, have very, very interesting characteristics, more interesting and better in some cases than metal or steel even. And you can use that ceramics materials in many, many different applications. Now this company Litos is doing material development and additive manufacturing for ceramics in order to create this, such products. For example, if you think about individualized ceramics products that you may use, when we talk about hospitals, we did that already. We can use, for example, ceramics as replacement parts within your body instead of screws, instead of other parts when you have an accident, for example, and this company is producing such kind of ceramics. So I'd like to ask Janelle or the organizers maybe to show the video, if you could do that, please.
Yes, thank you so much for your sharing, Mr. Dietmar. Due to the technical issue, I think we will send the link of the latest video to the audience later for them to watch the YouTube. So thank you so much for your sharing, and it's wow, I didn't even know that all of these strains like Austrian, like not at all. So please let us know how we can contact you, or if we can share your contact to the audience today. Yeah. So this is like the most valuable slide.
Here, and you can share, of course, you can share the presentation and please also the video. It's very impressive what this company does. That's only one example, and we'll be here, of course, for anyone, for any Vietnamese company who has an interest in connecting to Austria. And thanks so much for the opportunity again.